August 29, 2005. A monster storm makes landfall on the Gulf Coast. And within hours, one of America's most vibrant cities is underwater. This is the story of Hurricane Katrina, and why 20 years later, it's still considered the worst hurricane disaster in U.S. history. Hurricane Katrina began as a tropical depression over the Bahamas on August 23, 2005. But this wasn't just any storm. As it moved over the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico, Katrina rapidly intensified into a Category 5 hurricane, with winds reaching 175 miles per hour. The storm was massive, nearly 400 miles wide, and it was heading straight for one of America's most vulnerable cities, New Orleans. New Orleans sits in a bowl surrounded by water. Much of the city lies below sea level, protected only by a system of levees, floodwalls, and pumps. It was a disaster waiting to happen. On August 29th, Katrina made landfall as a Category 3 hurricane. While the eye passed just east of New Orleans, the storm surge and winds were devastating enough. But the real catastrophe was just beginning. Within hours, the levee system failed. Not from the storm surge, but from the massive amounts of water Katrina pushed into Lake Pontchartrain. The Industrial Canal levee breached. The 17th Street Canal failed. The London Avenue Canal gave way. Water poured into New Orleans like a bathtub filling up. Within 24 hours, 80% of the city was underwater. Some areas saw flooding up to 20 feet deep. Thousands of residents were trapped in their homes, on rooftops, in the Superdome, and at the convention center. The images shocked the world. This was happening in America. The numbers tell a devastating story. Hurricane Katrina killed at least 1,833 people, making it one of the 5 deadliest hurricanes in U.S. history. But Katrina's impact went far beyond the immediate death toll. Over 1 million people were displaced from their homes. New Orleans lost 29% of its population between 2005 and 2011. Entire neighborhoods were wiped off the map. Families were separated for months or even years. The storm didn't discriminate, but its impact wasn't equal. Low-income communities and communities of color bore the brunt of the devastation, exposing deep inequalities in American society. If the human cost wasn't staggering enough, Hurricane Katrina became the most expensive natural disaster in U.S. history. The storm caused over $160 billion in damage. Some estimates put it as high as $200 billion when adjusted for inflation. To put that in perspective, Katrina's damage exceeded the GDP of entire countries. It cost more than Hurricane Andrew, the previous record holder, by nearly 4 times. The federal government alone spent over $120 billion on recovery efforts. Entire industries were wiped out overnight. The port of New Orleans, crucial to American commerce, was devastated. Oil refineries shut down, affecting gas prices nationwide. The ripple effects lasted for years. So what made Hurricane Katrina the worst hurricane disaster in American history? It wasn't just one factor, it was a perfect storm of circumstances. Was it the strongest hurricane ever? No. That would be the 1935 Labor Day hurricane or Hurricane Camille in 1969. Was it the deadliest? No. The 1900 Galveston hurricane killed between 8,000 and 12,000 people. But Katrina was unique because it combined massive size and strength, a direct hit on a major metropolitan area, a vulnerable city built below sea level, catastrophic infrastructure failure, delayed and inadequate emergency response, long-term displacement and social disruption. No other hurricane in American history brought together all these elements with such devastating results. 20 years later, New Orleans has rebuilt and recovered in many ways. The levee system has been reinforced with billions in improvements. The city has shown remarkable resilience, but Hurricane Katrina changed America forever. It exposed our vulnerabilities, not just to natural disasters, but to inequality, inadequate infrastructure, and failed leadership. Hurricane Katrina remains a stark reminder that in the face of nature's power, we are only as strong as our weakest levee, our poorest neighborhood, and our commitment to protecting all our citizens. The question isn't whether another major hurricane will hit, it's whether we'll be ready when it does.